What's going on, YouTubers? Welcome to another video. So we got official dimensions of the Cave Troll by Prime One Studios, and I wanted to discuss potential options on how we could fit it. Now, it's 43 inches wide. I only have 33 in that closet, so it's 10 inches wider than that. So it won't fit in the closet, which was my initial thought. Like, yeah, it could work great there. So it basically takes up an entire garage shelf. Garage shelf is 48 inches wide. It's also close to 39 inches tall. So technically it is bigger than Shockwave all around. It is much wider. Shockwave, as you can see, is about like 32 inches wide. It's about the same height as Shockwave, which is ginormous. I mean, you compare Shockwave to the likes of them, that's how big the Cave Troll will be. But the biggest caveat and issue is the depth. Because of their pose where he's like slamming the hammer forward, it makes it a whopping, wait for it, 47 inches deep. Oh, Jupiter's cock. I mean, Shockwave's already hard enough to display on a garage shelf, and I have him going into this. But, holy... I almost wonder if it'd be better to put Lord of the Rings here so I could have him going into the window well. Granted, the window well only provides, I don't know how deep, but maybe a foot. This is 24 inches deep, so let's say 36 inches. 47, it would still be sticking out here. So there's really only one place the Cave Troll could fit in my collection. Well, kind of two, actually. So, as of right now, my initial plan is to put Gandalf Ultimate there, lower Frodo there, maybe get Boromir, I'm still on the fence, Sauron bust, Witch King bust. And that was the plan, and then I'm done. Although, like I said, if there comes out a Gollum bust that's like legit, I would, make space for that. And we're also looking to sell the Prime 1 Predator, maybe G.I. Joe, maybe keep G.I. Joe. I'm still a little on the fence there. I may even just keep the Predator because the guy ghosted me that said he wanted to buy it. But, so Cave Troll, 47 inches deep. We got basically to the wall 25 inches there. Same as here. Theoretically, we could raise this garage shelf up high. And you could sort of do the Cave Troll in the corner, but it still would be sticking out a substantial amount. But if you put it from like there to there and put Sauron here, it'd still stick out to probably like right here. And I really don't like having it stick out. Probably the best option is getting another one of these shelves thrown behind and bringing this shelf forward. Meaning this shelf would be going to about right here, which I don't like that. You'd have to bring these statues either forward or just have it empty in front, which also would look weird. If you brought them forward, anything you put over there would not look that good. So it's definitely a pickle considering how deep it is. Let's say theoretically we just get one of those shelves, put it behind, bring this forward 20 inches. You can bring these guys forward or leave them back. If you leave them back, you're going to have 20 inches of nothingness. Now you could put the orcs in front, but they would block a little bit. So that's definitely something I would not like, is having empty space. It'd be better to have empty space in the back and throw the orcs in the back. But as you can see, there's not a lot of space to even see an orc if you brought those forward. Like there's a little bit of space there and there, that's it. So it just wouldn't look good to put any statues behind, and having empty space in the front also would not look good. But if you did that, you could put the Cave Troll right here. It would just, otherwise, if you put it just on this shelf, maybe we brought the shelf forward like 6 inches and then just had the Cave Troll coming off by like 10 inches. Which again, I'm not a huge fan of having it come off on the front. I don't mind the back. Like, the back never bugs me. It's the front, especially if it's over like 6 inches. That's when it's like, ooh, yeah, not sure about that. The best spot probably would be where you have Shockwave, just because of the window well. If you brought the shelf forward, let's say 6 inches, then you could probably fit it there with the depth of that window well. But right here, you'd have to put a whole new shelf and either have just emptiness in front and keep the bottom as is and just have an empty shelf in essence. which would also actually, you could even do that because of the way the shelf would be. You'd have to bring these forward or you wouldn't get good angles. But yeah, then the cave troll would go there. Then you have the options of still doing this as the bust wall, Witch King Sauron. You'd have to make this shelf 48 inches wide, put Prime 1 Sauron right here, Gandalf there, which Gandalf is 24 inches deep. This is only 20, 21 to the wall. So he would stick out 3 inches, and then Balrog in the closet. Or, I mean, theoretically, you could lower Gandalf, Balrog versus Gandalf, where G.I. Joe is, and do Gandalf Ultimate in the closet, and then Sauron here. And then next to him, you could put, like, if you wanted to, Frodo. You know what I mean? So it'd be like all 1/4 here, bus, and then 1/4 here. Ideally, I'd like to have all my 1/4 together. And the only way to do that is to raise this shelf to normal height and then do Sauron there, Gandalf, Cave Troll. The nice thing about that is it'd raise this shelf so I could put statues down low that are taller and you could visually see them better. You know, so if we put Frodo, Boromir, the 2 orcs, or a future Lord of the Rings 1/4. But then that does pose the problem of the bust, because I'm definitely going to get that Witch King bust. I want to have that. These busts, as you can see, it's about 20 inches, well, maybe like 22 inches deep. Like, it would technically fit here if we lowered this shelf. That would probably be the best solution, maybe, is doing like, you know, Nazgul or Witch King and Nazgul, and then the creatures in the corner. You know, I just don't know about having the bust right there. I really like Balrog there, to be honest, but I do actually like the idea of doing like Balrog in the closet and then Gandalf right there next to it. I think that would look sick, you know, because they're the same thing, and that poster would still work directly behind Gandalf. You know, because I did the Ultimate Edition. Sauron, as you can see, he fills up this entire 24-inch garage shelf. Like, he is realistically like 25 inches deep. So if you made this a 48-inch shelf, you'd basically just slop him in the middle and have a little bit hanging off on each side. It would be cool to get him next to his bust. And in either scenario, Sauron here or there, he is going to be next to his bust, which is ideally what I would like. So it's definitely a pickle because the cave troll presents so many problems. The depth, I don't mind the width. Like, width, not an issue. 43 inches. I mean, ideally, I could even fit it in the closet if it did fit width-wise. But the width is not as big an issue. You know, it's not as wide as like this guy. This guy's 55 inches wide, but it's not that deep. It fits on a garage shelf. You know, and there's also like 9 inches from the tail. So I don't mind the width. It basically is one full garage shelf, not an entire garage shelf. Garage shelf is 48 inches, but almost. It's that depth. I wish they would have considered depth is the hardest thing for a collector, I would say. Like, easily the hardest thing. It was the number one reason I sold the Bruce Lee bust was because how deep it was. Plus, it also just didn't fit the collection. But the depth was absolutely atrocious on that bust. It was like also 40 inches deep. And it just made it impossible to display. Now, I think the Cave Troll has the potential to be one of Prime 1's best statues. Because right now, I consider it like these two and Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, I don't know if it'd top like Godzilla vs. Kong or Jetwing Optimus. I mean, it's going to have a giant cave troll, which is sick. It's going to be ginormous, like the size of Shockwave. It's going to have 2 orcs and a very detailed base. I think it definitely would be one of the best statues I would own. You know, it would be up there with Shockwave, like Shockwave good. You know, possibly Jetwing or Godzilla vs. Kong good. I also think the price tag is going to be, with shipping, $5,000. Without a doubt. That's a $5,000 with shipping. Because shipping will be 3 boxes, $1,000 C. Then $4,000 for the piece. I think it would be absolutely insanely cool, but also resell would be absolutely horrible because of, you know, how many collectors have 50 inches depth? And, you know, the price, it's hard to sell more expensive statues. They just are very difficult to sell. So I'm in a pickle. I want to see official photos. I got to do some Photoshops. I don't want to Photoshop what the current pick is. It's not a good photo. Once it's official photos, I'm going to do some Photoshops like here, potentially in the corner. I want to know if the back part is also wide or it gets wider at the front. Because if it's not as wide in the back, maybe I could work it in the corners, where you do like Gandalf Ultimate, Cave Troll, and then Sauron, and then the bus along this. So yeah, I definitely really want it because I've always wanted like a Cave Troll 1/4. I almost bought the custom, which was also 48 inches wide, not as deep, but it had nasty seam lines and it looked more outdated. But it was still sick looking, and I almost bought it so many times. It was priced at $2,000 shipped, and I was very tempted. But the seam line is what made me not want to buy it. I couldn't stand a seam line on human skin. Like that to me just instantly ruins a piece. Seam lines have to be hidden. Usually seam lines are on like the neck, so you don't really see it that often. But like on the arm, I always sell those statues first because it bugs me. Like Neo Frieza had a seam line in the arm, bugged me every time I looked at it, so I sold it. So I know I would have sold that Cave Troll. That's why I never bought it. The Prime 1 Cave Troll, I think, will be a grail and one of their best pieces, but also the biggest pain in the butt to display and the biggest pain in the butt if you ever need to resell it. So it's definitely, part of me wants to just say, screw it, don't get it, just continue the plan as is, but Gandalf Ultimate, Frodo down low. I don't have to get Boromir, like I've said, and then do Witch King, Sauron bust, and then call it a day for this room. I could even just keep the Prime 1 Predator and G.I. Joe where it's at and just get those two and call it a day. We also could get the Saruman bust. That's another big one that I could consider. I think Saruman bust could probably fit where the Balrog is. Again, I'd really like to keep Balrog there because I think it just fits theme-wise and I get really good angles and I really like it there. So I don't really want to move Balrog, but I also do think Balrog will work great in the closet. I think it will work good in the closet. So I do have a Cave Troll, so it's not like I don't have one. I have this little guy. And he is extremely detailed and very cool looking. But he's not Shockwave big. And I am always a much bigger fan of the big pieces like Shockwave. That's the reason I never sold Queen Hulkbuster, because it's a Shockwave Marvel statue. And to me, those are the most special and best statues out there, are the Shockwave-styled statues. And that is what the Cave Troll is to me. It is the Shockwave of Lord of the Rings. And I just don't know if I could pass that up. I do just hate the idea of having another garage shelf in front. And, it's already bad enough as is. The fact that sticks out an extra 4 or 5 inches. To add 20 more inches on top of that, Jupiter's cock. Oh my goodness. I'd almost rather just put it on the ground. But then you couldn't have statues above. Goodness gracious. I mean, we could potentially consider on the ground. If you'd have to raise the shelf, though. 40 inches tall. That wouldn't work. But like putting another garage shelf there is the only option, or we have to move Lord of the Rings over here and Transformers over here, which Transformers is already so perfect. I don't really want to change it up. So, plus Shockwave doesn't fit on a standard garage shelf. As you can see, those drillers are super deep. He'd be hanging off the shelf a lot if I put it over there. So it's just, I don't want to do that. Plus these two are just so big and glorious in their spot. I may have to pass on that Cave Troll. I don't know. Jupiter. I gotta see official photos and price. I'm prepared $5,000 is what I'm thinking. So if it's less than that, great. But it's definitely one that I'm sure if I got it, I'll be like, holy good God. And if I do get it, I'll make that my final statue. I wouldn't get anything else after that. That'd be the final piece I ever got. Anyways, folks, let me know what you think of the Cave Troll. Do we need it in the collection? It definitely causes a lot of issues, but think of how epic it would be if we did get it. Anyways, folks, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.